With trades already happening in full swing during the playoffs, much more seem to be potentially on the horizon. As the draft inches closer, several teams will be formulating their plots on how to remedy their specific weaknesses. Whether it's a crunched cap, lack of depth, or just time for a shakeup, multiple teams will definitely be mixing it up here shortly. In this video, I'm going to go over a handful of some potentially hot takes that could very well happen. And with that, here are 5 hot take trades that could happen. What's one thing that we've learned recently about Jim Rutherford? That the guy might be an avid supporter of reunions in general, because all you have to do is pretty much follow the trail. Matt Cullen, Connor Sherry, Kasperi Kapanen, I could go on, but by now you get the point. And another player that's a blast from the past in Pittsburgh is Brandon Sutter. Sutter, who was brought in over from Carolina before Rutherford took the reins in Pitt, spent a few seasons playing for the Steel City.
Flat Stanley himself, Brandon.
Regardless of the fact that JR has traded Sutter twice, once in Carolina and later in Pittsburgh, let's not forget that, like I said, this guy loves familiarity. And he also traded several players that he later brought back himself, so piggybacking on that, Sutter would be the answer to the Penguins' middle-depth woes. As McCann, who was recently re-signed, could potentially play wing, as he was prior to the break at times. Therefore, it's not outlandish to speculate that Sutter could be repping the Penguins' crest once again. Sutter, who was frequently injured during his 5-season stay in BC, as he was only able to play one full season for the Nucks due to being sidelined, could be the answer if signed to a cheaper contract. So, in case you haven't checked the news lately, the Arizona Coyotes are pretty much screwed financially, and in result, the roster is expected to have nothing short of a hefty makeover this offseason. While the Yotes are trying to cut corners, the guys making the bigger bucks are making their way into trade conversation more and more. And one name that's been prevalent as of late is Phil Kessel's. As Kessel wasn't able to have the initial impact that the team was hoping for last season, the $6 million that he's going to be owed for his services next campaign probably feels like too big of a price tag for the team to front. But honestly, considering the vast difference in talent between the Penguins and Coyotes, it's understandable that the forward stats took a steep dive. Regardless if Kessel is shopped, there will be definitely several teams with interest in the winger's talents. But with an 8-team trade list as part of his contract clause, it would have to be somewhere appealing for number 81. Therefore, since Minnesota is obviously out of the picture, one team that would make sense would be the Montreal Canadiens, as the team could use a jolt at center, but also on wing, as they also haven't had a legit star player up front for quite some time. And since the team does have much potential moving forward, the Habs could appeal to Kessel after all. Speaking of Montreal, one player that will most likely not return as a Hab next season is Max Domi. After having a rather awkward campaign last season, following his switch to wing, and being shuffled around in the lineup, Domi, as each game passed, seemed more expendable by the minute. That's not to say, though, that the forward can't still be a difference maker on a team that needs a center talent. And one team that could definitely use a star player is the Columbus Blue Jackets. With their previous stars in Panarin and Bobrovsky moving on, CBJ hasn't really had a bona fide star for a while in the lineup. Another reason is John Tortorella, as Torts seems to be a coach that Domi was almost born to play for, as number 13 plays a gritty, in-your-face kind of style that Torts already commands. Having Domi in the center role would definitely be the perfect 1-2 punch for the Jackets moving forward. So, pretty much everyone by this point has penciled Pietrangelo in on the Leafs roster for next season. And while I've definitely been guilty of teasing the homecoming between Petro and Toronto, what if Kyle Dubas isn't successful in scrounging up enough cash to pay the Blues captain in the end? As Toronto currently has around $6 million extra to work with. Therefore, unless one of their bigger names are shipped out of town or Dubas gets creative in the draft, he may have to look elsewhere. Another potential option for the team on the back end is Dougie Hamilton. After moving down south to Carolina, the defenseman has been effective when healthy, but also has been marred with injuries last season, and this postseason as well. Therefore, as Hamilton's contract is nearing its end in 2021, one can't help but speculate that the Canes, who have immense talent on the blue line already, would be able to part with number 19 in exchange for help in net or up front. Hamilton, who is from Toronto, would be another potential homecoming for Dubas to orchestrate, because we know that he loves doing so. Speaking of Carolina, throughout the Canes' short stay in the bubble, one need quickly became evident when David Ayres wasn't around to save the day between the pipes, as it's no real secret that the Canes haven't been able to match up in net against other teams for quite some time. With both netminders' contracts expiring after next season, there's still a chance for Waddell to get something out of a trade if it's executed. And if he presented something of value potentially to Dubas, such as aka a piece like Hamilton, sending Freddie down south might not seem like such a bad idea. While he does have a modified trade clause, being sent to a team with much potential moving forward could be the incentive that the Danish Tendy would need to give the okay.